I need you to imagine the silence. Not a peaceful silence, but the kind of silence that screams. That is what Rebecca woke up to on a Tuesday morning. The coffee pot was cold, the closet door was open, and when she looked inside, half the clothes were gone. No note, no explanation, just empty hangers rattling on the metal rod. She ran to the kitchen table, hoping to find something, anything, but the only thing she found was her laptop, open to their joint bank account. The balance, -$400. She told me that in that moment, she didn't cry. She couldn't cry. She just felt the air leave the room. She had 2 kids sleeping in the next room, a 5-year-old and a baby. The rent was due in 3 days. The fridge was half empty, and the man who promised to build a life with her had vanished, taking every cent of their savings with him. He didn't just leave. He scorched the earth. He left her with debts she didn't know existed, and a lease she couldn't afford on her own. This is the nightmare every woman fears. We all think, it won't happen to me. We think we know the person sleeping next to us, but Rebecca is proof that life can flip upside down in a single heartbeat. She was a stay-at-home mom. She had been out of the workforce for 6 years. Her resume was dusty. She had no emergency fund because her husband was the financial plan. She was completely exposed. For the first week, she operated on pure panic. She sold her wedding ring at a pawn shop just to keep the lights on. She sold the TV. She sold the second car. She stripped her life down to the bone. She remembers sitting on the floor of her living room, feeding her baby, thinking, this is it. We are going to be homeless. I have failed them. The shame was heavy. She didn't want to tell her family because she felt stupid for trusting him. She didn't want to tell her friends because she didn't want their pity. She was alone in a house that felt like a sinking ship. But then something shifted. It wasn't a miracle. No one came to save her. It was anger, a cold, hard anger. She looked at her kids and realized that if she didn't move, they would drown. She decided right then and there that she wasn't just going to survive this, she was going to win. She was going to build something that no man could ever take away from her again. She made a vow. 2 years, give me 2 years, and I will own my own roof. It sounded impossible. It sounded like a joke. She had 0 income and bad credit, but she had a plan. And today, I am going to tell you exactly how a single mom went from -$400 to holding the deed to her own house in 24 months. This isn't just a story about money. It's a story about revenge, the best kind of revenge, success. Rebecca started where most people are afraid to look, the dirt. She realized that she couldn't wait for a dream job to fall from the sky. She needed cash, and she needed it that day. She went to the only place she knew would hire her, on the and spot, a local cleaning crew that handled move-out cleans for apartment complexes. It was brutal work. She was scrubbing floors that hadn't been touched in years, hauling heavy trash bags, and working until her hands were raw. She'd come home smelling like bleach, her back screaming, only to start her second shift as a mom. But she did something brilliant with that humble paycheck. She told me, Sarah, I had to learn to live like I was still broke, even when I started making a little money. She moved her and her kids into a tiny 1-bedroom basement apartment. It was damp, it was dark, and she hated it. Every time she felt like complaining, she'd look at a picture of a house she'd taped to the fridge. That basement wasn't her home, it was her war room. She became a master of what she called invisible savings. She stopped buying anything that wasn't a necessity. No brand name cereal, no paper towels. She used old rags and no streaming services. Every single extra dollar was split into 2 piles. Pile 1 was for her freedom fund. This was her down payment. Pile 2 was for her ghost debt. See, her ex had left behind credit card debt in her name, too. Instead of ignoring the collectors, she called them. She used her sister-to-sister voice and told them the truth. I was left with nothing, but I want to pay you. What can we settle for? Because she was honest and persistent, she settled thousands of dollars in debt for pennies on the dollar. She also started a side hustle that cost her $0 to start. On her way home from cleaning houses, she'd look for curb alerts, furniture people were throwing away. She'd drag a discarded coffee table home, scrub it, give it a coat of $5 clearance paint, and list it on Facebook Marketplace for $40. That furniture money never touched her bank account. It went straight into a physical envelope hidden in her underwear drawer. She said that seeing the physical cash grow was the only thing that kept her sane when the world felt like it was closing in. There were nights when she sat in that basement and felt like a failure. She felt guilty that her kids didn't have a yard. She felt tired of the smell of cleaning chemicals. But she realized that she was finally the one in control. For the first time in her life, she knew exactly where every penny was going. She wasn't asking for permission to buy a gallon of milk anymore. She was the CEO of her own survival. She was no longer a victim. She was a builder. She was laying the foundation, one $20 bill at a time, and the he who left her was becoming a smaller and smaller shadow in her rearview mirror. 24 months later, Rebecca stood in a driveway that didn't belong to a landlord. She stood in front of a modest 2-bedroom cottage on the edge of town. It wasn't perfect. The roof would need work in 5 years, and the porch steps creaked. But when she turned the key in the lock, she didn't hear the rattling of empty hangers or the silence of a man who didn't care. She heard the sound of a woman who had saved herself. She sat on the floor of that empty living room, much like she had 2 years earlier in that basement. But this time, the tears felt different. They weren't hot and stinging. They were cool. They were the tears of someone who had survived the fire and come out made of iron. She had managed to save $15,000, dollar by painful dollar, and combined with the first-time homebuyer program, it was enough. She had cleared her name, fixed her credit, and built a sanctuary for her children. The most powerful part of her story isn't the house, though. It's what she told me at the very end. She said, "Sarah, the day I signed those papers, I realized he didn't leave me with nothing. He left me with the chance to find out who I actually was." She discovered she was a negotiator. She discovered she was a strategist. She discovered that she was a mother who could move mountains with a scrub brush and a dream. I'm telling you this story because I know some of you are in your day one. You're looking at an empty bank account, or an empty spot in the bed, or a stack of bills that feels like a mountain you can't climb. You feel small, you feel invisible, but I want you to look at Rebecca. She didn't have a special degree. She didn't have a head start. She just refused to let the ending of one chapter be the ending of her book. If you are in that dark place right now, listen to me. Do not give up on yourself. Start where you are. Use what you have. If all you have is a cleaning rag and a fierce love for your kids, use that. The house, the peace, the dignity. It's all waiting for you on the other side of the work. You don't need a man to provide a roof, and you don't need a miracle to find your way out of the hole. You just need to decide that you are worth the fight. Start small, save your first 20, settle your first debt, move 1 inch forward today, because 2 years from now, I want to be telling your story. I want to be the one talking about how you turned a no into a 10 new beginning. I'm Sarah. You are stronger than you think, and you are not alone. I'll see you in the next video.